Do you really think we're going to work through this list in 1 hour?
I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I mean, she's going to show up at 8 o'clock.
I think we could spend 3 hours talking about this.
Oh, easily. And if we do, that's fine. I mean, Bloodletter's going to join us. I mean, we could be here till 1 in the morning. I don't care.
Yeah, we start talking Maiden. Look out.
Yeah. I've been sending messages on Facebook, and I put one on your wall. Check your Facebook. Daily.
What's this Facebook?
How we communicate. Facebook. Yeah. I put a link on your page. Hey, it's how we communicate.
Yeah.
What else are we supposed to do? Send email like some 20th century caveman?
Let's go back to dial-up.
Yeah.
This is the guy that just graduated up from a flip phone like 2 weeks ago. Here, listen to him. All of a sudden, Mr. High and Mighty.
That phone fucking rocked.
Oh, there, up on your throat.
Satisfying like a click, open. It's like Star Trek. Scotty.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I just jizzed in my pants.
Sorry,
bit.
Go.
Yeah. Well, they did.
Once you mentioned the song too, I mean, I accidentally had a little,
little accident.
Oh, everybody's getting aroused. Look out! Well, we're just cracking the top 5. This does not bode well.
I am Montag, master of illusion. What goes up must come down, but not always.
I am Chop Top. Stay tuned, because this is going to be heavy.
I am the Slunkmeister. I guess that's my official name now.
It is. And welcome to Heavy Metal Horror. Well, tonight, kiddies, we are going to be discussing one of the best bands in the world, Iron Maiden. And we are going to talk about their albums. We're going to kind of rank them, discuss them from worst to first. And just know, before anyone gets all cryy and whiny, we are all Maiden fans. Chop Top, the Slunkmeister, and myself, we love Iron Maiden. I think I have seen them at least 6 times. Caught Dave Murray's wristband in 1988. I knocked down the Slunkmeister, grabbing that wristband. I knocked him on his ass.
Son of a bitch.
That was worth every minute. So we are fans, but we're, hey, like any band, we're going to look at their albums, discuss them, and then say, even the worst of albums has good material on it, and even the best of albums has some clunkers. So with that being said, we're going to turn the mic over to the Slunkmeister. Slunkmeister, tell us your first pick, your bottom dweller, the worst album on your list, Iron Maiden studio albums, and go.
Okay, we're going to start. The worst, the bottom of the list here for me, Virtual 11. I struggled to find any redeeming qualities in this one personally. I mean, it's it's bad mix. The singing. I mean, I'm sure we'll get into to Blaze Bayley as we move along here, but just going back and kind of back through these today to kind of refresh my memory, and bad times all around. This one is tough. Hopefully you can help me find some redeeming qualities in this one, because I struggled to be honest.
It was a bad time for Iron Maiden, honestly. Those era. I mean, and Chop Top and I saw Iron Maiden on the Virtual 11 tour. The lineup was going to be Wasp, Dio, and Iron Maiden.
Okay.
We thought, well, we've never seen Wasp. We'd always wanted to see Wasp.
Sure.
Let's go to the show. It was at Nautica in Cleveland. Let's go see this show. Well, Wasp had just dropped out like the week before. Blackie Lawless had hurt himself or something like that. So shit. So it was still Dio and Maiden. I mean, Dio always puts on a good show, but he was starting then. I could tell at this time he was, thinner than usual. But Maiden, they traditionally, every time I had seen them, always played, hour and 40 minutes, something like that. Pretty short shows until that time, they played 2 hours and 15 minutes. And it was just the worst time to see them play 2 hours and 15 minutes. I'm telling you, with the extended Angel and the Gambler mix, you know, yeah, it was just bad. And Blaze Bayley just really couldn't get those songs that Bruce, did. He just was not a good front man, and it was just like, it was bad. But
And let's face it, Bruce, one of the toughest acts in the business to follow. So that's a tall order for
the Air
anybody.
Raid Simon. I mean, you're right. Now, I do like Future Real. I mean, it's a short song.
Yeah,
It's kind of fun, and I like Como Está Amigos, the last track. The Educated Fool has a really nice core, verses, but then the chorus kind of slows it down. But there's so much badness to this. Like, pick a couple songs, Slunkmeister, that like ones that really scrape that inner ear for you.
Yeah, Angel and the Gambler. I mean, yeah, the Klansman.
Worlds collide.
Yeah, two worlds collide. Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know. It just all kind of runs together after a while when I listen to this. Like, nothing's really jumping out and grabbing me.
Mm-hmm. I wanted to like Angel and the Gambler because it starts off like, oh, okay, but it like never changes like the three chords, and then the chorus is repeated for like 6 minutes of a 9.5 minute song.
Right.
And it's like, oh my God, really?
I would call this the most phoned in album Maiden has ever done, but I think there is another that actually deserves that title even more than this
interesting.
one. So
I'm looking
we'll get to that
that.
soon. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So Virtual 11 for Slunkmeister. Chop Top, what would be your bottom dweller?
Virtual 11. I agree pretty much with everything that Slunkmeister had to say. Mark or Montag, I do like those at least two choices of those songs that you picked out. Future Real, especially when you hear when Bruce came back, he did that live, and I think you burnt that for me or something. That version that sounds really good with Bruce behind it, but we can get further into that as the show progresses. What we think with some of the material that Bruce has handled from Blaze era stuff.
Yeah,
but
Virtual 11
can't get.
Oh, go ahead, man. Sorry.
Well, I'm sorry. I just couldn't. Still, getting over Blaze Bayley's voice, man, was just not a good pick. Not a good pick. And you're right. Now, my next choice when it comes up, I actually think that was actually just a step above this stinker. But
let me get my bottom pick in because it's not Virtual 11. But I did want to say about Virtual 11 is that we did see a couple, like one song written by Dave Murray, Lightning Strikes Twice. The guitar work, it just, overall it's a pretty stinky album, but I found one to be a little stinkier.
Okay.
And that's 1990's No Prayer for the Dying. I think is actually the worst album.
Oof.
And that album for me is because it comes headlong after Seventh Son.
Yeah.
And I don't want to blow my wad here, but No Prayer for the Dying, it's like completely changed. Like, who is this band? Holy Smoke and Public Enema #1 and Mother Russia. Well, Mother Russia's not so bad. I think this one also has like Hooks in You. Just bring your daughter to the slaughter. I mean, it is really bad, top to bottom.
Holy Smoke.
Holy Smoke. Is this the one that had Hell to Eternity? Hell is from here to eternity, and Afraid to Shoot Strangers, and I remember seeing them on that tour, and by that, and I knew right then when I saw them, because I could tell Bruce, because all he was doing was screaming. He wasn't singing anymore. I could see it that he just was not happy. And a little later on down the road, I believe I think Chop Top, you were with us, Slunkmeister, and I saw Bruce on the Accident of Birth tour, and we got to meet the band. And I remember asking Bruce, I said, "Hey, Bruce, what happened? What the hell happened after Seventh Son?" And basically he said that some people in the band, he wouldn't name names, wanted to go for more a classic rock sound instead of the Maiden heavy metal sound. And boy, you can really tell the direction of the music. It was just boring, and it just wasn't Maiden at all. And that's why I picked as my bottom liar.
Yeah, I remember Bruce referring to Maiden at that time as a slowly sinking ship.
Exactly.
When we talked to him that night. So
right.
Yeah.
And I remember asking him if he needed a drummer to play for his band because I was volunteering, and he said he already had the best drummer in the world. I said, well, that's debatable, but I'll let you go on that one. So, we love you, Bruce, man. We love you, Maiden. Hey, now since we're going around number twos, I'll just skip up because my number 2 from the bottom was Virtual 11. So it was a neck and neck, splitting hairs. So Chop Top, what's your next worst album?
Next one was the X Factor.
Okay.
I mean, there was, I think there was the Unbelievers or some song on there.
Unbeliever.
A couple
2
of that.
a.m.
Sign of the Cross.
Yes, Sign of the Cross. Man on the Edge. Lord of the Flies.
On the Edge. Ooh.
Yeah.
Right.
The Blaze era. Rough stuff.
Yes.
I just think, of course they were on CMC International, I believe, at that time for both those albums. Of course, it's now a defunct label. So the quality had dropped off along with going to a label change. After Bruce had left and they got Blaze in, but there were some songs in there that, like I said, I would love to hear some remade songs, certain songs with Bruce behind it. Sign of the Cross Studio, I'd love to hear a version of that, or the Unbelievers or whatever. That'd be awesome. But
they did.
That was
they
just
did
a step up on Virtual 11
on the 2001 on the Rock and Rio. You can hear Sign of the Cross done, and I think the couple tours later he sang Man on the Edge and Lord of the Flies when Bruce sings it. So yeah, those do step up quite a bit. I actually like some of the songs on X Factor, and what I really like, I like Sign of the Cross, Lord of the Flies. Man on the Edge, it sounds like Free Will Burning from Judas Priest. The song is very reminiscent of that, which I'm not faulting him for it. But it does have one of those awful lyrics. I just cringed. Once he built missiles, a nation's defense. Now he can't even give birthday presents. I'm like, oh, Steve. Oh, Steve Harris.
What
it hurt me. You're hurting me, man. Yeah. So I was just like, I had to listen to that again. Like, did he say that? Is this what he said? I'm like, oh my God, he did. He said this. But what I will say for the X Factor, the one thing it has going for it is the production value. The sound is so good. The drums, I think, have never sounded better. Everything was crystal clear. Now I'm an audio guy, so I listen for mixing and I listen for the sound of drums. And sometimes Nico, his drums can be really muddy and low end and thuddy, and it just kind of washes out. But this time was an exception. The snare drum is crisp. Everything sounds great. And this was recorded in Steve Harris's own studio. He had a brand new studio built in his house. I'm thinking every album you should be recording at your house, Steve. It sounds amazing. Not a great album.
I'll give it that. Yeah, but I'll give it the sound. I agree.
Yeah, the sound is great.
Yeah, that's what makes this, of the two Bailey era albums, I think this is why this is a little better than Virtual 11. Just the sound quality itself. A pretty nice sounding album.
Yeah, the guitars on Virtual 11 are really mid-rangey and weak, but yeah, the sound is great. It's a good sounding album. Just most of the songs are very forgettable. And when you have lyrics like, I wake up at 2 a.m. and see what's on TV, I'm like, oh, really? Come on, man. You got to stop it. And then just the ad nauseum repeated lyrics, like Fortunes of War, and maybe because it's Blaze Bailey, just can't sing very well. Not for Maiden anyway,
Yeah. Right.
Okay. Anything more you want to say about Virtual or about your second pick there, Chop Top?
No. You made a good point with the sound quality. I have to agree, and that's probably what like Slunkmeister pointed out. It's probably one of the redeeming qualities of it was the sound. It helped. It was just that much above Virtual 11, and I think some of the songs were better, but yeah, some of those lyrics, and I'm like, this is the man who wrote "Hallowed Be Thy Name," and what happened here?
Right.
Falling down, falling down.
Right. Right. We should do a tribute to Blaze Bailey's and all of us singing. No matter what we sing, it's all that way. Every
Also
song
like Kermit.
That's right. It could be or like
Montag,
the
remember at
Mountie.
Nautica? Montag, remember at Nautica when we saw him live and he's standing on stage like he has to take a dump the whole time. He's constipated. Like,
yeah, he's standing like a gorilla, like, "Oh, everybody, do something." How about you, Slunkmeister? Where's your second?
For me, so yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and kind of combine the next two because my third worst was X Factor. So with Joe there, for me, the second worst, and this is my winner for most phoned in Maiden album ever. No Prayer for the Dying. I agree with you there. Just a god awful mess. Shameful that in the Bruce era, that following Seventh Son, this is what they come up with. Just
right.
Yes.
Just
horrible. They're
trying to recapture the Aces High with Tail Gunner.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then the feel of I had the same kind of break of Hallowed Be Thy Name with Afraid to Shoot Strangers. You know, it has that same kind of structure.
No, Afraid to Shoot Strangers was from A Fear of the Dark.
Oh, was it?
So yeah. Okay. But here we have such, lovely as Hooks in You,
Yeah, is it like
Hooks in You?
Hooks in
me. Hell is from here to eternity. Is that right?
No, I think
that's not
Fear of the Dark
as well.
Is it? Oh, I can't. Hooks in You.
It's been a while. I mean,
I mean, they try, to be
running silent, right?
Yeah, Run Silent, Run Deep. They kind of try to be Maiden there, or Mother Russia. Those are okay. Tail Gunner kind of tries to be the new version of Aces High or something.
Yeah. In a bad album, those are the couple standouts. The Mother Russia. And
I actually liked No Prayer for the Dying, the actual title track. I thought was pretty good.
Yeah.
But this album too, to me, was kind of like the new Maiden sound. Mix wise, I just didn't care for it overall. The sound was
big,
kind of
fat,
thin.
wet snare drum sound.
Yeah, it wasn't a lot of. I don't know. It wasn't a rich sound like you're used to from Iron Maiden.
Yeah, for sure.
Just felt totally phoned in to me.
All right.
Bunch of 4-minute, radio play songs.
Yeah, bad radio. It's like we're all hitting around the same target. That you're combining your second and third. For my third, this might be a surprising pick. I'm going to go with 2015's The Book of Souls. As to me, that sounds not phoned in because it's that new era of Maiden. It's just boring to me.
That's it's the note next to it for me too.
Yeah, it's like Red and the Black just goes on. I'm like, what the hell, and it just goes on forever. Someone from hell is calling us. Is that Bruce? Is he someone calling us?
Oh boy, that's probably Blaze.
Yeah. What are you doing? Talking about my record that way?
I'd like another job. Not singing Maiden.
And the song Book of Souls is really boring. It doesn't sound very exciting. It doesn't sound I see Bloodletter has joined us. Nice to see you, Bloodletter. And I wanted to like this so much because I thought, like what, this 80 or 90 minutes of epic new Maiden? I'm like, yeah. And it was like, by the end of it, I'm like, there's one really good song, and that's the Empire of the Clouds. I find to be the best track on the album. Musically, adventurous. It was so different a departure, but the music, it has such a powerful emotion that carries the story. This triumphant and majestic. And then when you hear the piano, like the riff when the craft is coming down, you can like the sound imitates the crashing of this dirigible. That's the strongest track for me. So I'll turn it over to the discussion. What about you guys? What do you think about the Book of Souls?
I personally, it's not in my top 5. It's in the middle of the pack for me. I personally found a lot of songs I really enjoyed on there. A little too much to chew on. Yeah, especially when you get to disc 2, Empire of the Clouds, and a little too ballad heavy. I mean, I really thought there was a couple tracks in that site that could have been eliminated. Tears of a Clown, I think, and the other one was. And for me, one thing I want to get in the new Maiden, since Brave New World, I'm going to get to that point, is the production. I mean, they've used Kevin Shirley ever since they've been back. It's become almost a little stale to me. I'd like to see them, another outside producer, a big name. I mean, Andy Sneap, who's done Nevermore and Priest and other things. Like, I think he does a fantastic mixing job, and I think his production is really good. I just think that it's a production issue for me. It just sounds stale. All these other since since Brave New World, it's just the same production sound. It's like it's a little dry for me. I like to hear something else, but that's just me.
Yeah. So I believe Chop or Slunkmeister, you combined 2 and 3. Chop Top, did you do your third from the bottom?
I have not yet. That for me, guys, and I'm right in that same kind of area with you guys there. That is No Prayer for me.
Okay.
Like with Slunkmeister, I do enjoy the title track, and those other 2 tracks you guys talked about. And you is just puking. That is just sick. And bring your daughter to slaughter. I mean, come on, it's just silly, and then holy smoke. It's like,
yeah. Bring Your Daughters to Slaughter is not a good song. It wasn't a good song when it was the solo stuff. When it was on the movie, I think it was one of the Freddy Krueger's or one of those movies.
One of the Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah, it just. I mean, for a movie song, it's okay. It's fine.
Yeah.
You're not expecting much from it, but to throw it on a Maiden album, and then when I heard him perform it live, it was like, come on, dudes, really? We can't dig back into the catalog and pull out something really actually cool that we want to hear,
Yeah, I think they wanted this to be a big, hit single, radio play kind of song.
If any of those songs were hit singles, that'd been great.
Yeah, right.
It was like more like a shit single.
It's a shit single. It's got no,
right.
It's not catchy. It's got no hook to it. It's got no rhythm. It's just
it's just straightforward and like there's supposed to be this kind of this driving rock, and I mean, it was huge in Europe. Well, that should say enough right there, right? I mean, not to offend anyone, but their musical tastes might be a little different. But it was a colossal hit in Europe, and I'm like, I just don't see it, not at all. So. All right, moving up for the 4th round. Chop Top, could you do your number 4 pick on the bottom?
Fear of the Dark for me.
Okay.
I think other than the title track, other than Be Quick or Be Dead, it's a hard album to get through. Maybe Afraid to Shoot Strangers, I think there's a nice kind of thing with that, with the melody itself and the intro and everything. But I think it's just, again, like, man, the wheels were really coming undone, And you could tell this was I believe this was Bruce's exit album, wasn't it?
It was.
Solo?
Yep.
Okay. For me, you could really tell. It felt it. So.
Yeah, I agree. That was actually my number 4 pick as well. And so I think it's one of those bottom dwellers that has a few good tracks. But for the most part, and then Fear of the Dark has maintained, it's been in their playlist for 30 years. So, I mean, it's obviously a big song. It's a classic Maiden song. So it can't take away from it. It's just, there's so much of that album is just not
good. So there's not a filler.
Yeah. How about your 4 pick, Slunkmeister?
4 for me. So yeah, this is I'm right there with you with Book of Souls.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, those, I think our top 4 are kind of the same, just a little bit jumbled around, but yeah.
Right.
I had real high expectations for this too. Like a double album, this is going to be, but it just doesn't. I listened to it. I'm not taken anywhere by this album. It doesn't carry me. There's no goosebumps. I agree with you. Empire of the Clouds. Also, the opening track I thought was really strong.
With Eternity Should Fail.
Yeah, if Eternity Should Fail, I thought was real powerful, and that really got me excited. Like, oh yeah, this is.
It's got that nice galloping kind of beat.
Real powerful chorus.
Yeah.
some real good stuff. But man, after that, it just, and like I have written on my notes, boring. It gets boring to me and repetitive, and it's just nothing is. I find myself tuning out every time I listen to it as it's going through. I'm losing focus, just trying to get through the whole thing.
Right.
So,
Okay. Well, since we're there, how about do number 5 for us there, Slunkmeister?
Okay. Yeah. This one, I feel bad having this where it's at, but I'm going to go with their debut, Iron Maiden.
Oh, yeah.
Even though it's a classic, I really appreciate it for what it is, but it's for me, it's not an album I go back to very often at all. This is just one that's kind of lost in history to me. I understand what it is, and it's a foundational album for Maiden.
Right.
But, there are many albums that I would listen to before I crank out Iron Maiden.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I listened to it a lot when earlier, back in the late 80s, and when I was in college. I
when you had a little less of a library to.
Exactly, and I learned to play a lot of guitar tracks to that album, and so I appreciate it on some levels. But I can totally see that. It's a different sound. It's a lot more punk forward.
Yeah,
and not a bad album, because there are some great songs on there. I mean, Iron Maiden. You got Phantom of the Opera.
Yeah, it's hard to criticize in that
right.
way.
It's just if it's not something that excites you anymore, and it's the way they play those songs now is better than what you have on the recording. So I totally get that. Chop Top, how about you? What's your number 5?
My number 5 is Dance of Death.
Okay.
I had high expectations coming off of Brave New World and how excellent that is, and it just kind of stumbled for me.
Okay.
The track, even though I enjoy it, it's a little too lengthy. I thought that there really wasn't a lot of memorable songs. Passchendaele was probably the highlight.
Yeah, great song.
A lot of people agree.
Yeah, Passchendaele's.
I wish they would have incorporated that more into later live shows and just that tour, because that's pretty much what they played just on that tour of it. And for me it was just, I'm so excited, first day buyer again. I'm like, oh, if it's anything like Brave New World, I'm like,
yeah. It's got some interesting tracks. Journeyman's kind of a nice departure, and New Frontier. I think it's a song that Nico wrote. It's got some interesting stuff. Rainmaker. It's got some interesting tracks. But I totally see your placement there. Yeah, it makes sense. And then Slunkmeister, I went. Oh yeah, you did Iron Maiden. Yeah, for me the 5th was the X Factor. So we've all discussed that ad nauseum. So I'll move up to my 6th spot, and that was Killers for me. So very much like Slunkmeister. Those, I like Killers. I think Killers is a little weaker than the Iron Maiden in a ways. It's got a couple great tracks, but there's a lot more of the song fillers. Was it Transylvania? Is that on that one?
It's on the self-titled.
Yeah. Okay. There's a couple. Genghis Khan maybe, and a couple that. I mean, I love Killers.
Another Life, maybe Innocent Exile.
Yeah. Is Prodigal Son? That's on Killers, right?
No. Yes, that's on Killers.
Yeah, I think Prodigal Son might be my favorite on that whole album. I used to love playing that on the guitar. Again, it's a different kind of feel. And I love Killers. It's a great track. It's great when you hear it live. But Killers. It's just, again, I appreciate those first 2 albums. I really do. But Maiden doesn't come into really their own until the next album. But yeah. So that was my number 6 pick. How about you, Slunkmeister?
So we're down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
6 up from the
out
bottom.
of 16 albums, this would be our
6th.
number 11 on the
11 the bottom.
So from 11 from the bottom. So for me, Dance of Death.
Oh, okay.
So Joe, very similar, really hit and miss. There's some songs the title track, Dance of Death, to me is one of my favorite Maiden songs. I guess particularly the live version from Rock in Rio, but even on the studio version, I love. And it's just flat out one of my favorite Maiden songs, period. Face in the Sand is also, I think, outstanding track.
Mm-hmm.
Good point.
Passchendaele, of course.
Yeah.
But then, No More Lies, very repetitive.
Mm-hmm.
There's just it's either, for me, just really some really great tracks or just some clunkers.
Mm-hmm.
And this is kind of, for me, part of like a little there's 3 albums that all have this very similar kind of very hit and miss. I won't reveal them all, but this is just one of those. If I could take these 3 albums, the 3 albums, the next 3 on my list, and just combine them, it'd have one really, really good album.
Yeah, kind of like what Guns N' Roses did with the Usual Reason 1 and 2.
Right.
Make one really good record and
Exactly.
throw away the rest of that shit. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, Slash, I'm talking about you. Learn to tune your guitar.
So yeah.
Okay. Chop Top, how about your 11th pick?
My 11th is Final Frontier.
Oh, okay.
It's actually a step better than Dance of Death. There was
oh, that's right. We just talked about that. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, you just talked about it, didn't you?
No. I talked about Dance of Death. No.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Final Frontier is up next. And I think it just has a more fuller, a richer sound throughout the album. But I thought there were some pretty strong songs on that. Of course, I know Montag's favorite is Where the Wild Wind Blows, I believe, or something. But
I like the Starblind, and
that's the one. Thank you, Montag. Yes, that's the song.
Yeah, Starblind and Isle of Avalon, I think, are the really strong tracks. And I do like the
Road to El Dorado.
Yeah, I like all 3 of those songs.
Yeah, that's a good, powerful song, I think.
Yeah, especially the pre-verse. I think it has a really, really kind of strong presence. And Starblind is an Adrian Smith song, and it sounds so unlike Maiden in a way. It's very prog, and that's one thing. But they do it so well. And they were really doing the prog thing. A lot more proggy in this era, and that's one thing I liked about it. So done so well, and that's why Isle of Avalon kind of carried both. It kind of felt like he had that new Maiden sound, prog sound. It was kind of epic, But what about you, Slunkmeister?
Yeah, the same. Also, Coming Home. I really love that song. But like Dance of Death, there are some songs I truly love. When the Wild Wind Blows, I love it. Starblind is excellent. But then, El Dorado. But then just some tracks that I could do without.
Yeah.
So again, combine this with some tracks off Dance of Death, and we're starting to build a nice album.
Yeah, I like Mother of Mercy too. It's
I do too.
Yeah, it's got some really good tracks on it. So nice on it. So, my number 10 spot. It's like we're starting to overlap here, which is kind of cool because we're all in the same ballpark here. My number 10 was Iron Maiden, right above Killers for me. So we've already discussed that to death. Slunkmeister did.
Number 10, Final Frontier for me. So there we go.
Right. We kind of talked about that to death. And speaking of death, my number 9 pick is Dance of Death. So, there's a lot in this middle range for me. It was kind of like splitting hairs, looking at the strengths of the whole package versus like the individual songs, and some of these were, just subtle nuances that divided 9 from 8 from 7, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And most of them have a nice mix of really good songs and songs that are kind of forgettable. And, you listen to it if you're listening to a whole album because it's there. But if it wasn't on the album, you probably wouldn't care to listen to it again,
Right.
Yeah. Chop Top, what's your number 9?
My number 9, actually, I switched this just a minute ago between these two, but my Book of Souls.
Okay.
I think
you seem to like that a lot more than Chop Top or than Slunkmeister and I did.
I like I like the Red and the Black. Could have been a little shorter. I do like the first single, If Eternity Should Fail. And I think the saving thing of that album is, I agree with Montag, is Empire of the Clouds. Actually, that song gives me chills. I mean, it's just that piano is such a beautiful melody, and to know that Bruce played that, that's even more amazing. I mean, because is there anything that guy can't do, right?
Right.
So,
apparently,
for me, it's
without
just
getting cancer. So,
but yeah,
anyway.
Mark Montag, I agree that is a beautiful, just a beautiful song, and you actually, I agree, you visualize what's going on throughout as that song goes through, progresses.
Yeah,
So
that musical break is beautiful, and it's haunting, and it's as far as musically goes, I think it's one of their strongest songs. I mean, sonically, you feel the emotions, then they just to carry those emotions through music alone is pretty amazing, you know. Yeah,
absolutely.
All right, Slunkmeister, what's your number 9?
Yeah, number 9 for me in the final in the triumvirate of hit and miss albums. So Dance of Death, Final Frontier, and then the third one, Brave New World for me. I feel like those three you could just kind of clump together and come up with one good album. I think this had the best mix of those three. A little better, a little cleaner mix, I thought. A little less of the new Maiden sound. But yeah, again, hit and miss with the tracks on this one.
Yeah. What are some of your favorite tracks on the record?
Yeah, let's go Ghost of the Navigator.
Yeah.
Brave New World, Blood Brothers, all good, good anthems, good arena, sing along anthems.
Oh yeah.
Those are great live too. Yeah, those are probably then Dream of Mirrors, Fallen Angel, I don't know, The Nomad. None of those really do anything for me.
Okay. To hear them all live, they played so many songs off that record on the 2001 tour, on the Brave New World tour, especially when you hear them on that live Rock in Rio. Oh my God, I think, I know we're not doing the live albums, but I think their second best live album, after Live After Death. It is such a great album, top to bottom. Every song they just kill it. But
nice.
Yeah, okay, yeah, Brave New World. All right. Chop Top, what about your number 8?
Number 8 is a Matter of Life and Death.
Oh, nice. Okay.
I really thought that was through this new era since 2000 and Bruce's return. I think that's overall a very strong album from start to finish. I love Reincarnation of Benjamin Brigg. I think that was it Legacy or what's that last?
Yeah, the Legacy.
Yeah, Legacy. Yeah. Oh yeah.
So I really think I really enjoy it. I still reach for it to this day a lot more than some of their other material. So
yeah. All right. Nice. What about? I know we haven't brought that up on our list, but because it's a little higher up on my list. But yes,
same for me. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a really solid album. How about you, Slunkmeister? What's your number 8?
Number 8. Now this one, you guys will disagree. This is way higher on my list than yours, but for me, Fear of the Dark. I got that coming in at number 8. I like that one a little better than you guys did. I thought after No Prayer for the Dying, I thought this was at least trying to get back to a Maiden. I thought the sound was really good on Fear of the Dark. I thought the mix was nice. Be Quick or Be Dead. From Here to Eternity is okay. I actually kind of liked the Wasting Love ballad, even though Bruce seemed, when we saw him, he seemed a little embarrassed to sing that one. But
right. Be Quick or Be Dead's good.
Judas Be My Guide is okay. Yeah, I don't know. Just all in all, it was. I think it's just solid.
Sure. Let's not forget Weekend Warrior.
Yeah, that one.
Okay. So
these all have some blemishes.
Who can forget the classic Weekend Warrior?
That's more like a scabrous cancer than a blemish. I mean, that was
not without it.
I mean, talk about embarrassing. And the way Bruce is trying to sing it, like it's exciting and like, gotta go out with your mates and play soccer. It's like, really?
I was hoping we'd just skip past that one and forget about it.
Oh no! We undig it all. They all float down here, Slunkmeister.
All right, we'll move that up to like 13 then.
No, it's fine.
Really.
It's fine. Hey, that's what's so great about this discussion. What's so fun is that we all love Maiden, but we kind of we have our own individual tastes and where we rank them, and I think it's great.
Mhm.
I mean, I liked Fear of the Dark when it came out a lot, even though I struggled with some of the songs. But as more has come out, it's settled down into a place, for me. So no, I
Mhm.
totally get it. Now we're on number 8, right? Yeah, 8 climbing
Yeah.
up. My number 8 might be a little surprising as far as some of you, but maybe not. My number 8 is 1986, Somewhere in Time.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Down
Now
to 8. I
I
am
know,
shocked.
I know, because it's a really good album, but the albums I have above it, I think, are
Wow.
just better. Um,
I would
it,
have guessed this was in your top 3. This is surprising to me.
this was a
I
hard
know
one
you
for me.
love this album.
I do. This one's a hard one for me, and it's got such great songs. Somewhere in Time, Stranger in a Strange Land, um,
Alexander the Great.
Alexander the Great, Deja Vu, Heaven Can Wait. I mean, it's such a good album, and that's like, oh man, I wanted to but I looked at my list at the 7 above it. I'm like, the only 6, 7, 8. Those 3 are really kind of malleable. They could kind of go in any of the order. The 6, 7, 8 I have, like,
Hmm.
they all have really great stuff. Sentimentally, this place is higher than I put it on the list. I mean, it's such a good album. And it was the first time I saw Maiden was on this tour.
Mhm.
And with and yeah, I'm going to say right now, I'm going to call him out. One of my friends was supposed to go to this tour and he backed out because he went to see the Kinks instead.
Oh,
Thanks.
That's right, Brady. I'm calling you out, man.
Disgusting.
I know.
Shameful.
I had tickets for Maiden, and you go see the Kinks
Ugh.
instead.
Wow.
Hello, I love you. Won't you tell me your name? Thank you for our one song, folks. Yeah. So anyway, so there's my number 8. How about you, Chop Top? What's your number 8?
Interesting.
My number 8 is Killers.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
I like the Deano era, and I'm more of, I think maybe I like a lot of punk, of course, I like Misfits and all that. It just reminds me around that same era, and stuff like that. And just that sound. Definitely we're bringing in the punk sound across, and a more different band, obscure of the new wave of British heavy metal. I think you could argue that. Like we'll get into the next one, really cemented them somewhere else. But for me, I think there's great tracks in there. Ides of March, Murders in the Rue Morgue, Killers,
Yeah.
subtitled song itself. I just think it's really it's pretty solid for me, and it's even more solid than my next one.
Room Work is a fantastic song. Just
Oh yeah, one of the greatest Maiden songs, man.
Yeah.
Murders in the
it
Rue
just
Morgue.
totally rips it up when you hear it, especially on the live, the Beast on the Road tour. When that's what they opened the set with, and
Yeah.
Bruce just comes out just ripping it. I mean, it's a great song, top to bottom. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll go ahead and chime in. This was actually
Yeah.
number 7 on my list. So
Okay.
yeah, I agree. I think they were starting to hone their sound a little bit with this album. A little less punk, a little more moving towards Number of the Beast. So yeah, Murders in the Rue Morgue, Killers was a great, awesome, just kick-ass song.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, for me, this is one of the old classic, original classic Maiden albums. I think for me though, much better than Iron Maiden.
Yeah, it's a better sound quality. I think the mixing's better. And right, yeah, I agree. Chop Top, what's your number 7?
Number 7 is the self-titled Iron Maiden. I actually have that a little higher than Killers for me. Because it was just, I guess for me, it was such I remember I discovered Maiden when it was first just Bruce. That's how I came around to it. And I'm looking at the back catalog, I'm thinking, oh, great, another one with Bruce on it. I'm like, but I still like Prowler, man. Just that opening riff. Tomorrow. And Phantom of the Opera, which can be arguably maybe their first ever epic song that they wrote. I just think those two songs alone really, really saved that album for me. So,
yeah, excellent. Since we've my number 7, one we discussed also, is Brave New World. What I liked so much about it is it did feel epic.
Wait a minute, you've got this ranked above Somewhere in Time.
That's what I'm telling you, man. 6,
Oh
7,
my
and 8 are
God,
really
dude.
kind of like,
Oh my God.
Somewhere in Time could easily be in the top 5. I'm serious.
Wow.
Top
You
5 is
son of a
crowded.
bitch.
Rampaging savage. I hate your ass face,
You.
you traitor. Uh, yeah, I get it, man. Ghost of the Navigator. That's just a great track. There's so many songs on here. Now, I this is one of those albums that this is how you also can tell a really good band is when they play the songs better live than on the studio. Like the
Oh, yeah.
recording just doesn't quite capture the energy and the passion.
Totally agree.
That was one reason I thought about lowering it down a little bit, but I have to look at the songs as they are, because like Brave New World is a little slow, Ghost Navigator is a little slow. Um, the Wicker Man is like I think one of the weaker tracks. It's a good track, but
Mhm.
it's not as complex as the other ones. But
Mhm.
yeah, it was a toss up, man. I know Somewhere in Time was calling to me because like, oh my God, it's such a good song. But any mid-range Maiden stuff is still really good.
Yeah.
Maiden stuff.
Yeah.
It's hard. You got 16 albums. It's like, oh man, they got to put it somewhere.
I would
So-
agree with you that I think Brave New World, a lot of these tracks translate better live than
Oh yeah.
some of the stuff off Somewhere in Time. Blood Brothers
Mhm.
live, like on Rock and Rio, is just
Mhm.
just awesome when the
Yeah.
100,000 people are singing along.
Yeah.
Just fantastic.
Oh yeah, it kind of gives you.
But
like
we are ranking studio albums. So
right, studio, right.
have to
So
bear that in mind.
that's it. Yeah, I get it. So
Doesn't Maiden have like 16 live albums? So we'll come back for another segment and just do about 16
I think
fucking
they have
live.
a three-parter.
Yeah.
I think they have 13 live albums. Yeah, something like that.
So
It's pretty
16 studio. Wow.
Yeah, I think some of that's a record contract stuff. They got to
Mhm.
fulfill.
Yeah.
But so number 7 for you, Chop Top.
Brave New World.
All right. Look at that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I think that for me, I mean, it was a hell of a welcome return with Bruce coming back. Really enjoy a lot of things on there. And it's just, they were supercharged again. It just had this whole different energy behind that band. And like we could say, we're going into Rock and Rio, and it showed really in that show itself, that tour and everything. I mean, the band just seemed on all cylinders. Plus, you had now 3 guitars players in the band,
Right.
as opposed to just the 2 in Adrian and Dave. So for me, it was a lot fuller, and the songs I really enjoy, and they do translate live. I agree with
And
you.
At least
And
2
Yannick-
guitarists and a marionette dancing around. So,
Right.
But Yannick has become such a good songwriter and much better
I
guitarist.
love Yannick. I'm not.
He's great.
hating on
I
him.
know. I think
I
he'd
love
laugh
Yannick.
at you. Yeah, and he's so nice in person. Such a really
Yeah, he's
such a nice
he's
person.
awesome, dude.
And but no, I agree. And like he started, I mean, my Yannick story when I first met him, because he had just toured with Bruce on his solo tour, Tattooed Millionaire or whatever it was, and then he joined Maiden. And I was talking to him. That's when I met him after stage. I said, I saw you on the first solo tour. It's really good. And I go, how long did you have between the end of Bruce's tour and the beginning of Iron Maiden tour? He said 3 days. He had to learn all the music in 3 days. And I said, well, now I know why your solos are just your solos. He wasn't trying to do Adrian Smith. I mean, you could tell because he was just, that really sloppy, fast playing.
Yeah.
But he adds so much of his own energy to Maiden now with the 3 guitarists.
Mhm.
He's such a great songwriter. Passchendaele was his song.
Mhm.
He
One of my
adds a
favorites.
lot. Yeah, he's a really welcome addition.
You can't hate the guy. He's just
no,
awesome.
not at all. And he's been in the band longer than Adrian Smith when you think about it.
Oh,
Because Adrian Smith left. I know, right? It's kind of crazy.
That's hard to wrap your head around.
I know, exactly.
Oh my God.
It's like, So anyway, super nice guy. We love you, Yannick. We love you, and he's just one of the nicest people you could ever want to meet. So that was number 7. We'll go. Did someone not get a number 7, or we get that?
No, I think we all covered our 7.
All right. So number 6, I'll go ahead and do because we've already talked about it. Number 6 for me was The Final Frontier.
Okay.
And there's so many interesting songs. What I liked about it, you had the big epics, then you had songs like Starblind and Isle of Avalon, like we'd mentioned before, that were just different. And for me, it was a progression of their prog rock, but a bigger sound that they had on an earlier album that I think was really stronger. But so anyway, we've discussed Final Frontier. Slunkmeister, what's your number 6?
Number 6 for me. So yeah, this was tough to not have this in the top 5, but 6 for me, Number of the Beast.
Ooh,
So we're
oh
getting
wow!
we're getting into the heavy hitters.
So low, I thought for sure it'd be higher.
I know, I did too.
You yelled at me for Somewhere in Time. How dare you?
Man, when you get down to this point in the thing, it's like they're all your children. You don't want to. You can't hardly leave any out. But yeah, I mean, obviously Bruce comes in and launches the band to a whole different level. So this is, they lock in who they are, they lock in their sound, what they're all about.
I mean,
and,
right.
And when this is when Maiden becomes Maiden.
Rip out like on Children of the Damned, that big end note. Children of the Damned is one of my favorite tracks on the album.
Yeah.
It's just a wonderful, wonderful song. And you got so many big songs.
Oh, you name it. Yeah. Hallowed be thy name. 22
Number of the Beast, Run to the Hills, Gangland, The Prisoner, it's just a stellar record, all around. Yeah.
And I'm sitting here rethinking my ranking, but I'm going to stick with it.
Well, I know it's hard.
I feel guilty putting this at 6, but
it's hard.
It's where it is. It's hard. Chop Top, what about?
A great album.
What's your number 6?
Somewhere in Time.
All right.
I really love Somewhere in Time. Even at, I think Sea of Madness is so underrated. I think The Loneliness of the Distance Runner is magnificent.
Yeah.
I wish, Heaven Can Wait. I never get tired of that, especially the breakdown. You got all the choral vocals, chorus of vocals going through there.
Oh, should have put up higher.
I love that. The title track, Somewhere in Time itself too. So for me, it's really a strong showing. I have it that's where I have it up on my list so high.
That's a phenomenal album. Slunkmeister, what was your number 6?
Number 6. That was Number of the Beast.
Oh, okay, right. So, and mine was Final Frontier. So we're on to number 5. So
top 5.
The top 5 Maiden albums.
Top 5.
Slunkmeister, tell us your number 5 pick.
Coming in at 5, Power Slave.
Ah, nice.
Yeah. Aside from the weird mix on this one, I mean, how can you not like, the subject matter, war, mythology, poetry, you name it. Egyptian Eddie on the front cover. It's one of the coolest covers I've ever seen.
Yeah,
in all of metaldom.
I'd say their artwork is some of the best ever created in any metal bands. Period.
Totally agree.
Just really gives off the aura. What you should be expecting on this. You get that one weird drum, that sour drum on the low end.
Yeah, that weird little flap.
Doink, 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 doink. It's like you get these toms and then boink, boink. Like, what? Come on, I'm sure they had to hear that on the mix somehow. It's like, how can we fix that? Like, put a new drum head on, re-mic the drum for crying out loud. Yeah.
But at the same time, other than that, it had an interesting mix and a whole interesting sound that was unique to this album.
Right.
If they could have just dialed in that one drum, it was a cool sound. This album
they recorded it in the Bahamas.
Pretty dry kind of sound, but I don't know. It worked.
Yeah, Nassau.
It just worked.
But you can hear all the cymbals really nicely, and then it's got some of the great songs that they still play today,
top to bottom. Every track on this album.
Yeah, I mean, you got 4 of the biggest songs they have. Aces High, I can hear 1,000 times.
Yeah,
I love 2 Minutes of Midnight. I've heard it like too many times in a way.
I agree.
But Power Slave, the solo part. Now I know
solo.
You love these passionate solos.
Yeah.
And boy, that has a great breakdown in the middle.
Yeah, that's one of the best. One of my top 5 guitar solos in all of metal. Period.
Yeah. Oh, it's phenomenal.
That gives me goosebumps.
Yeah. And my personal favorite, "Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner," which is my favorite Maiden song. It is just a 13-minute boner. And it's just like I just love that song so much, and I just want to share that. Like, if I had to share one song with someone who didn't know who Iron Maiden was, it would be that song. Like, here, this is everything you need to know about Iron Maiden in one song. It's epic, it's poetry, it's literature, it's amazing imagery, and the song, just the breaks, and then that Adrian Smith solo when he comes in. After the break, that note.
And of course, this launched the World Slavery Tour. So one of the most legendary
Yeah.
tours in
Like-
metal history.
Yeah,
And
I'm sorry. I just
greatest live
just
album ever.
jizzed in my pants a little
Sorry,
bit.
yeah, go
Yeah,
expose
Yeah,
yourself.
well, they did
once
like
you mentioned the song too, I mean, I accidentally had a little,
a little accident.
Oh, everybody's getting aroused. Look out.
Oh,
We're just
Hands-
cracking the top
hands up.
five. This does not bode
hands
well.
up. Well, I think they did like 223 dates in like 16 months or something. It was like the
Yeah.
longest
Incredible.
tour they'd ever done. They said they would never do it again. And
Yeah, barely a day off.
I'm not saying one way or another, but I know someone who might have downloaded every show on that tour as a bootleg, found it on some free candy store. I think I know someone who did, just to have a record of every show.
I think I know someone who would do something like that too.
Yeah, because I think
I
the
know
first
of
thing I had to
someone
hear-
who knew of someone that knows someone that does that. So, yeah.
Yeah, like what was their show in Cleveland like that year? Let's listen to that.
Oh man.
Really horrible, bootleg recording of like someone recorded it from outside the Coliseum.
And just on that note, Montag, remember a few years ago we saw the Somewhere Back in Time show where they basically played the first how many tracks from the World Slavery
Right.
tour
It
set.
was like
So it was like reliving it again.
It was, and then he
that
get
was
to hear
so awesome.
right, and then hearing Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner again, which they did play that on the Somewhere in Time tour, so that was awesome. But yes, you get to hear those great tracks, and that was phenomenal. That was just a great show combining the best of that era of Maiden.
Yeah.
That was just a fantastic show, top to bottom. Like you, Chop Top, my number 5 is Power Slave as well. So I mean, we've discussed that one.
That was mine, so I don't know.
Was
Chop
it yours?
Top might have a different-
Slunkmeister. Oh, okay,
You might
Slunkmeister.
have a
Right.
different-
Power Slave number 5. How about you, Chop Top? What was your number 5?
Well, actually, I'm in my top 4 already, guys. So maybe.
Oh,
I'm
what
maybe
did you do for 5?
5 was Summer in Time.
Okay.
Oh, okay, good. All right. Well, then why don't you start with number 4 then? What was your number 4th?
Number of the Beast.
Number of the Beast. Ah,
For
yes.
me, I think that was my first introduction of Maiden. And I remember, of course, back in the day, cassette tapes, right? I went through the first one like within a week. I would buy another one. And I would stay up like every night, 3, 4 in the morning, constantly listening to this album over. And I'm like,
Mhm.
what is this?
Yeah.
This is just, it was so fresh at the time. It was unique. Never heard metal sound like that. The sheer epicness of it and just Bruce's vocals, everything, just great. So
Yeah.
for me, that's a special place in my heart, number 4.
All right. How about you, Slunkmeister, number 4?
So number 4, yeah, this one you'll be surprised at, but this is where I placed A Matter of Life and Death.
Ah,
Wow.
nice.
For me, this album it kind of came out of nowhere. Bruce came back, they did Brave New World, they did Dance of Death, and they had established a sound and a new sound and a new kind of vibe. And then, man, to me, A Matter of Life and Death, I listened to that and I feel like you could have just plopped that down, replace No Prayer for the Dying with A Matter of Life and Death. Just drop that right in after Seventh Son, before Fear of the Dark, and it would flow perfectly. I mean, some of the tracks, Reincarnation of Benjamin Brieg, Brighter Than a Thousand Suns, The Longest Day.
God.
Every time I listen to The Longest Day, I just picture like this could open any Maiden concert. You've got that intro, and then you could come in with the pyrotechnics, and when that song kicks in, Out of the Shadows, The Legacy, For the Greater Good of God.
For the greater
I
good
love
of God.
this album.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
The first 2 tracks were like kind of crappy, I thought, like, because it was starting to sound like standard Maiden fare, but boy, after that it just took off and was, I don't know, it just felt like a return to the glory days of Maiden to me.
Yeah.
And,
That's interesting. You
love this
have it at
album.
number 4. That's where I had it too.
Choice.
Number 4.
Choice.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I didn't know you had it that high.
No, I love that album for all the same reasons that you did. I thought when I first heard the Reincarnation of Benjamin Brieg, I'm like, wow, this is so prog. It's pushing the boundaries of prog for Maiden.
Yep.
Brighter Than a Thousand Suns. It's epic. It's sprawling. For the Greater Good of God has like one of the greatest like choruses, you know, in it. That's soaring epic. Every track on
all
this
the power. That old
it's just
Maiden
like,
power
oh,
was
wow.
there.
Yes, and it was like lightning in a bottle. Like, okay, whatever happened, whatever they were doing, something struck. They were all on their game. The drumming is phenomenal. I mean, it wasn't just a
Oh,
regular
some
build.
of his best work ever.
I think
Yeah.
so, and I think
Yeah.
even Bruce said that he won the man. You know, the was it the what they call it, the man of the match, or the term for their football. They all said to Nico, like told Nico, like Nico, what played the best on that record that he had in years, and they gave him the man of the match, and you could hear it. I mean, it is stellar playing. Top. It is just an
Yes,
awesome
it is.
album. Yeah,
Yeah, love it, love it, love it.
yeah. Interesting. Nice. So, Chop Top, did you do your number 4?
Yeah, that was Number of the Beast.
Number of the
My
Beast.
number 3 now.
All right,
Seventh
top
Son.
3.
Seventh Son at number 3. Okay.
Ooh.
I really just you say about that production wise. They went from somewhere in time and they actually honed it, I think, a little bit sharper with the guitar synth sound. I think the concept behind the whole album is amazing. My gosh, I mean, my top favorite Maiden song, maybe my top 3 is probably "Evil That Men Do."
Okay.
I just never get tired of that song. I love the chorus. I love the guitar work. Wow, just powerful to me. So, but that whole album as a whole, production wise, I think Martin Birch produced that as well. He was like the go-to producer for Maiden for a long time. And man, you just something about still sounds great today. Still sounds fresh today to me. So
yeah,
Slunk
here I'll go
Meister.
ahead and chime in because this is my number 3 as well.
Wow. Oh, nice.
So yeah, everything you said, Joe. I think this for me was like the culmination of the golden era of Iron Maiden. You know, this 5-album run between Number of the Beast, you know, to Peace of Mind, Power Slave, Somewhere in Time, and Seventh Son was like that's when they were at the heights.
Yes.
At their heights.
It was a ferocious
yeah.
album. It is a ferocious album.
Yeah, this album had everything you could love. You know, great writing, the soaring choruses, the power, goosebumps everywhere. You know, just every track I think is strong on this album.
Yeah, Moonchild is
not
like,
always
I think
the case.
second favorite song.
Oh yeah,
It's just a ripper. It's a showstopper. You know, it's so powerful and ferocious. You know, and the way he's saying, "I am he," like you could feel it, like pushing right through you.
Oh, on Montag, we saw that show.
That's right.
7th row.
Seventh row.
Son of a seventh son. One of the greatest metal shows I've ever seen.
I almost died of dehydration after that show, so I remember it very well. And I remember I had no voice, but I was dripping wet. But man, what a show! Everything was perfect, guys, about that show. That was still the best concert of my life. That's the best concert of my life.
Yeah, the full pyrotechnics were on display. It was just incredible. Just ripped your face right off. That was so good.
Bruce had thankfully gotten rid of the big puffy shirt frog costume from Somewhere in Time, and was wearing those leather boots and the fur, the leather pants and the fur boots. You know, and then there was Seventh Son is such a haunting, powerful song. You know, again with great solos, but his that the pre-chorus with that note. Oh, it's so haunting with the guitars playing behind it, the melody. Oh, incredibly powerful song. Yeah, that's I get it, man. That's a great album. So that was number 3. That was Chop Top. Your number 3, right? Montag, or I'm Montag. Slunkmeister.
Who is Montag?
Yeah, I'd already chimed in. 3 was Seventh Son for me as well.
Oh, for both of you. Okay.
So,
my number 3 was Number of the Beast, and because it's we've already discussed that how fantastic that album is. So which brings us to 2 and 1, and since I kind of think I know where you were going with this, Slunkmeister, what's your number 2?
Number 2 for me, Somewhere in Time.
Wow, that's a high finish.
A really nice jump.
Look at you,
yeah. I mean, this album it was such a unique sound. You know, like they were Maiden was one of the few bands that were especially at that time. They were able to bring in some synth sound and not just get lambasted for it. You know, like other metal bands were starting to dabble with synthesizers, and they'd have like a little dude hiding over in the corner when they were doing it live because they were almost ashamed of it. But I don't know, Maiden, you know, they had the guitar synth, so they didn't quite jump the shark when it came to synth, but it gave this album such a cool vibe. And I mean, the cover art, you know, I would just pop this album in and then just sit and stare at the cover for hours, you know, looking at all these cool little details and
all the
hidden messages and
Maiden references to the other albums, every album before that.
Derek
Yeah.
Riggs, just what a phenomenal guy. But yeah,
Absolutely.
just the album is, I don't know, just phenomenal and so
Yeah.
unique
Oh yeah.
in Maiden history. A cool
Yeah.
sound.
Yeah. Now I know I'm truly regretting putting my Somewhere in Time at number 8, but I get it. Yeah. Oh, I can't. There's nothing. I can't fault the album. There's really no song that's bad. I love every track. And
And I think some of these come down to a nostalgia. When did you hear it? What was going on in your life at the time you were
Right.
listening to this? And and this
Right.
one just somehow scratches a nostalgic itch for me too, as well. So
Yeah, totally.
I just remember sitting in my room listening to this thing. I think it was the middle of winter. I don't know, but yeah, I don't know. Just loved it.
Hmm. Yeah, I remember getting the album with you and going over to your house, Slunkmeister, and listening to it
Mm-hmm.
because we accidentally put on side 2 of the album and listened to like The Loneliness of the Wrong Distance Runner. We're like, huh, what a weird track to begin with. And we looked at
Yeah.
the lyrics, like, oh, that's the wrong track. So we flip it back over and like, oh, there it is. There's the big triumphant,
I think this was
stage burning song.
I think this was the very first album that I ever got it was my first when I got a CD player. This was my very first CD that I ever played, my new CD player. So yeah,
Nice.
like the clarity. Oh my God, what a revelation compact discs were back then.
Right.
Oh, you can hear so much more. The details. It was just amazing.
Yeah, could crank it up louder without distortion.
Right. Yeah.
Right,
Exactly.
Chop Top, what about your number 2, or did we already go to you, Chop, for number 2?
No, I haven't said it yet, but I flipped around these two guys for a long time in my head. Power Slave is my number 2.
Yeah.
Everything that's already been said that you guys shared about it already, totally agree. And wow, Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner, one song title. You just got to tell people to say, like you said, you want to introduce someone to Maiden, that's all you got to play them right there.
Yeah.
I think Back to the Village is a fantastic song too. It's underrated.
It's an Adrian Smith song too.
Right, Flash of the Blade is
the Duelists.
I love it.
All these epic songs.
Lost for Words, maybe one of the best heavy metal instrumentals, if not my favorite of all time. I love Lost for Words. That's just so cool.
Yeah. It was the first time in a long time that they had brought back just an instrumental, in quite a while, because they did those on their first couple albums, and he hadn't heard it for a while, so it was nice to hear that again.
Yeah, this album too. This is when I became a Maiden fan in this era.
Yeah.
Montag, I remember you introducing me to Maiden.
Yes. You're welcome.
He was Montag. That's why.
And what drew me in were the lyrics. Like you're sitting there going, "Oh, check out this song." It's about mythology. It's about Egyptian mythology, and this. And I would just, when I first started listening, I would just skip forward to all the lyrics. I would skip the guitar solos and just go to the to all the lyrics and listen to them and read them, and that really intrigued me because I didn't realize that metal could be that smart and well,
that's how you pass history and mythology class in high school.
Absolutely,
reciting Maiden. Yes, the Crimean War. Yes. Well, that is my segue into my number 2 pick, which is Peace of Mind. That was the album that I first heard Iron Maiden, and that's because I had a stereo at the time. It was a turntable and it had a dual cassette deck. And once some kids, my fellow classmates found that out, they were saying, "Hey, can you make a cassette of this album for me?" So I put on the album and I would make a cassette, or I'd burn one cassette to another, back in the day. And someone gave me a stack of cassettes and Judas Priest and all this stuff. And then here's this Iron Maiden, Peace of Mind. I'm like, oh, okay. I'd never heard of Iron Maiden. I put it in, then there's that big drum intro. I'm like, oh my God. This heavy guitar riffs. I'm like, who the fuck are these guys? So and I'm like, oh yeah. And just listening to it, like, oh my God, they're singing about Hitler, the Eagle's Nest. And like, oh, I remember the album. I remember the movie Where Eagles Dare. I'm like, oh my God, they're writing about movies. And like, and then To Tame a Land. I'm like, it's fucking dude.
That's dude. No,
oh my God, that's dude. And it's like, holy crap. And then, the Trooper, which still just makes my balls just swell up.
Oh, boy.
With manly testosterone.
And then kicks you in them. Kicks you right in your swollen balls.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you love every minute of it.
I love it. Kick me again.
Again.
Yeah. And then with I think I even liked even better was Flight of Icarus. You know, just such a
Mhm.
great song, and part of it because it's like held back a little bit, it's a little slow, but then it builds. Then you get those screaming solos at the end. It's just so satisfying. And I remember, you know, Slunkmeister, we would watch, you know, the video
Yeah,
of that.
yeah.
We would just watch those over and over and over again, and just sit there like going, oh yeah, you know.
And of course, Nico's debut.
Yeah,
with Maiden.
Nico. I mean, we had talked about how Bruce just came in, in '82 on
Mhm.
Number of the Beast and made the band go to new heights. Then here you bring in Nico McBrain, which I think even brought it up to a higher level of
Yeah.
excellence. One of the best drummers, one of my favorite, you know, drummers. Number 2 influence in my drumming besides Neil Peart. So yeah, no, Peace of Mind is the album that introduced me to Maiden, got me excited about, and I have been a fan ever since then. And it just now, to be fair, there not every song is good. There's I think Quest for Fire is a little weak. You know, I'm not crazy about that, but I like, you know, we got Sunlight and Steel, which is really cool. Die with Your Boots On. Revelations. I mean, there's just so many great songs on Peace of Mind. To number 1, and I think Slunkmeister and I have our same pick for number 1. So Chop Top, what is your number 1 Maiden album?
My number 1, and again, guys, this for me, I flip back between this and my second. It's Peace of Mind. I mean, when I first, in everything Montag said, you first put that in, you first hear that drum, it's just like, wow. And it takes me back to Special Play. It was very special for me at that time, just because just discovering more metal bands and, you know, finally getting cassette tapes, you know, getting a collection, going a mini one, and just discovering them through. I mean, I think I said Number of Beasts. I discovered them. No, it was Peace of Mind. I want to retract that from earlier, but Peace of Mind, just Revelations, Flight of Icarus, Die with Your Boots On. Still Life is still one of the most underrated Maiden songs ever. I think it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And
And, to Tame
to
a
hear it
Land,
live, it's even better. Yeah.
I gotta say is To Tame a Land. I mean, that's just forget about it.
Epic.
Wonderful. That's my number 1 pick, though.
Nice. Excellent. And I believe, Slunkmeister, you and I have the same number 1.
No, actually, I agree with. I'm with Chop Top there. Peace of Mind is number 1 for me. As well.
Is it? Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. It's a hard. I mean, it's.
Yeah, this is just. I think everything quintessential Iron Maiden right here. You know, like you could maybe make that argument with Power Slave or many of these albums.
Oh, sure.
But like even with the sound itself, the mix here,
yes,
is just very. It's just. I don't know. It's everything is. It's just Iron Maiden.
You can hear Nico McBrain's ride cymbal really well.
Yeah.
The drums sound big and thunderous. The guitars are really dry and crunchy. You know,
Yeah.
especially when you hear like a song like Revelations.
Yeah.
You know, you hear that. Everything crystal clear.
Yeah, it's just such a perfect mix. You know, Power Slave is cool. Somewhere in Time have these cool, unique feels to them and different mixes that make them unique. But like, Peace of Mind is, I think, just a perfect mix and just a perfect representation of Iron Maiden top to bottom.
Oh yeah, it's a ferocious album. It is definitely, it's so good on so many levels, and it's one that bears repeated listening to. Like, I don't care how many times I've heard it. When I hear these songs, I will turn it up and up because I can't hear it loud enough. It is just.
That's true.
I wanted to be surrounding me and go through me, because like I had to be careful when I'm driving in the car to not listen to this album, because like I'm like, you know. Yeah. Well, that leaves my number 1 pick with Seventh Son of a Seventh Son. It's because I think that is when they did a concept album. It was like, can Maiden get any cooler than they are? And the sound is phenomenal. The songs are epic. It's ferocious, as we've discussed. You know, the band even admits that the second side, the story kind of falls apart. You know, but by that time, it didn't matter to me. I mean, Infinite Dreams, again, such a big song. Yeah, there's just everything about. I think any of these top 5 albums that. You know, I will listen to these until the day I die, you know, and I'll probably have some of it played at my funeral. So just get ready to expect it. Yeah. Well, now Mark wants us to listen to all 16 Iron Maiden albums in order.
We're going to play Virtual 11 on loop.
Yeah, so he wants everyone to sing "Falling Down." Yeah.
Standing
So,
alone in the wonderland. Right. Yeah.
that's right. Yes, we see. Yes, we see you, bloodletters, wanting to stab your eye out. Yeah, excellent. Oh man. Well, this has been a fantastic discussion, top to bottom,
Absolutely.
and from fans who love the genre, know the band, who love it, and can be, I think, open to criticism where it's warranted, but deep down, if Maiden came by tomorrow, we're all going to go see them. So
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, one of this is the band that I cut my metal teeth on right here. This is what drew me into real metal. Not
Right.
hair metal, not any of the this is the real stuff, the real deal. And, Bruce is one of my favorite people. Period. In the world, I think Bruce is a very amazing, inspirational guy. There's nothing that guy can't do.
Right. This is the album that got Slunkmeisters to stop listening to Milli Vanilli. So this band.
I moved on. I took my diaper off, and I moved on.
Oh, you know it's true.
I grew some pubes.
That's right. You got some chest pubes all the way down to your fro.
That intro where Eagles Dare kicked in and my balls dropped, and
that's right.
Off I went.
I like this band. Oh my God! Listen to my voice. Right. After that, you could never be on the teeter-totter again. Just
things changed. That moment, things changed.
That's right. That's right.
Instant puberty.
Thank you. Right.
Thank you.
The number of socks you went through was just
made a man out of me.
That's right. I ran out of Kleenex, Ma. I needed more socks. My sheets are getting pretty thick. Just stiff and thick. So excellent. Well, listen. Hey, we want to thank you for listening to another episode of Heavy Metal Horror, and we are going to continue to discuss bands. And Slunkmeister is going to be around every time we discuss music. He's a huge music fan, huge metal fan. And Slunkmeister, is there anything that you want to say to all of our millions of listeners about tonight's episode?
Just thank you. I appreciate you inviting me here. Hope everybody enjoyed the discussion. I'd love to hear some other people's rankings. Love to see it.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Hear them call us names for some of our choices here.
Yeah, that's right. That's great. So you can contact us at Heavy Metal Horror Podcast Fans on Facebook. You can find Montag Lewis on Instagram. Happy to stop by, say hi, and we're gonna come back for a more reviews. And so next time, Slunkmeister, we'll let you choose the band that we discuss or the metal music topic. Think about it. Let us know, and then Chop Top and I will get on board and
see what I can come up with.
And then it'll go back to Chop Top, and then Chop Top will pick. Then it'll be his pick for the music. So it's been great having you for tonight's episode. So I am Montag, Master of Illusion.
I'm Chop Top.
And the Slunkmeister.
And you've been listening to Heavy Metal Horror.